Sairam everyone. Just to recollect what we were discussing last week, Swami has introduced 5 yajnas to us. Dravya yajna started with Dravya yajna, and then at the end he introduced us to Jnana yajna and Swadhyaya yajna. Swadhyaya yajna and Jnana yajna, which is what I think we were discussing. That is Dravya yajna, Tapo yajna, and Yoga yajna, Swadhyaya yajna, and Jnana yajna. Those 5 yajnas Swami has introduced and he's explaining. So that's what we were doing. So I think we'll continue from where we left off. I will ask the sisters to read and we will continue.
And Swadhyaya Yajna. It means studying with humility and reverence the sacred scriptures that lead you to liberation or moksha. This study is the means to repay the debt due to the rishis who put the scriptures together. The next one is Jnana Yajna. By this is meant not the knowledge of the visible and perceptible, but the jnana of the invisible, the imperceptible. The paroksha jnana, not the aparoksha jnana. Listen to the sastras that are related to this jnana. Study them and ponder over the teachings in your mind, weighing the pros and cons. This is called jnana yajna. Jnana means also the eagerness to realize the Atma Tattva through inquiry from elders and those who have spiritual experience. Arjuna, you may ask me about the means whereby this can be acquired. Those anxious to get it have to go to the realized souls and win their grace. And studying well their moods and manners, they must await the chance to ask for their help. When doubts arise, they should approach them calmly and courageously. Studying bundles of books and delivering hours-long discourses and wearing the ochre robes do not make the genuine jnani. Jnana can be won only from and through elders who have experienced the absolute. You have to serve them and win their love. How can doubts be ended by the study of books? They only tend to confuse the mind. Books can at best inform they cannot demonstrate by direct proof. Only the realized can convince by direct demonstration. So they have to be sought after and served reverentially. Then only can this precious jnana be won. No amount of seawater can slake one's thirst. No amount of sastric study can solve doubt.
Okay, thank you, sister. So we had read and we had discussed. So if anyone would like to discuss any points, we will do. I will open it up to the participants. Just to sort of summarize, I think Swami says Jnana Yajna is our desire to, sort of Swadhyaya Yajna is studying and analyzing and inquiring and so on. And then Swami says this Jnana Yajna is attained by approaching a guru who can demonstrate and give us that experience. And it's through anubhava, or the experience and experiential teaching. That's what we discussed. I will stop here if anyone has something to say. Else we will just continue on. Then maybe, sister, we can continue on, and because Swami is talking more about this Svadhyaya, Jnana Yajna.
Besides, the aspirants for jnana must have not only bhakti, devotion, and shraddha, faith, but he should also be simple and pure. He should not grow impatient and irritate the teacher. Haste ruins chances of success. Whatever the Guru tells should be practiced and experienced. You should not try out every single item of advice that you hear or learn, thus changing the sadhana as fancy takes hold, even from the desire to become a jnani quick. Doing thus, you will only end as a complete ajnani. Why it is sometimes preferable to remain an ajnani, for such people tend to end up in madness. Therefore, one has to be very careful. You must endeavor to please the Guru and win his favor by obeying his orders and serving him lovingly. You should have no other thought than his welfare and happiness. Give up all else and win his grace. Then jnana is yours. Instead, if you are disobedient and critical through egoism and want of faith, you cannot be blessed by the vision of the truth. You will be plunged in gloom.
Thank you, sister. I think Swami is warning us against impatience in getting there. And he's, I think, impressing on us the need for Shraddha and Bhakti and be simple and pure, as Swami says. So I will open it up for anyone to share any thoughts you have. Or
Sai Ram, this is
Sai Ram
Saku Auntie.
Yes,
Saku Auntie.
Yes.
Even if we say we are following our Guru, if we have a slight doubt in our mind, and if we don't follow whatever the Guru is teaching, then that goes against us. That can bring a big problem into our life, isn't it?
Yes, Auntie. Thank you, Auntie. I think the Auntie has asked a question. If anyone would like to share any. Sakwanti, just can you repeat that question? You said, if you're not following because of a doubt or something like that?
No. One thing, whatever the Guru is saying, we have to understand and follow. And if we don't follow, if we are disobeying, that's one. Two, we have doubts in our mind all the time because of our ego. So these two things have to be eradicated for us to become a true disciple or a true follower of that Guru. Am I right?
Yeah, I think you are just repeating what what's in the last sentence, I guess, Auntie.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what Swami seems to be telling us.
What is the meaning of you plunge in gloom?
Gloom. You're doomed forever.
Gloom.
Doomed. Yeah, gloom means darkness.
Darkness?
Yeah. Ignorance, darkness. Actually, whenever doubt comes, Swami is saying that even in Krishna is saying the same thing, that you have to go to the Guru, please him and win his favor.
You hear or no?
Yeah, and win his favor, and constantly, if you have any doubt, you can ask him pariprashnena sevaya. That's what Bhagawan is saying. You can ask questions, and Guru must have the compassion and the patience to clear the doubts of his disciple. So that's the only way how we can get the correct gnana. Sairam.
Thank you.
Brother, if you don't mind, can we discuss on that sentence also, please? That you shouldn't try out every single time item advice that you hear or learn. Why?
You should not try out every single item.
Why that has been said? First, they tells us to practice and experience it. First telling to practice and experience. Then again tells not to do.
Others, Auntie, it's not like you follow only your guru's advice. But people tend to, this is how I take it, people tend to listen to everyone's advice and, hearsay kind of thing, right? So
every single item. It says every single item.
Every single item, yeah. I believe
that is from?
That you hear or learn.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Auntie, we will just read the... Sorry, please go ahead. Yes, Sister Vasudha.
Sairam, sorry, my take on this is just from my practical experience. When we have medical students and we're like teaching them, sometimes we're still on chapter 1 or we're still on the basics, but they are in a haste to learn everything, to put on the white coat, go to the patient, start, being like in the clinical setting. So sometimes we tell them like, little knowledge is dangerous. Wait till you learn the entire concept, because we're still on the ABCs of it. Just like here it says, even from the desire to become a jnani quickly. You're so over enthusiastic sometimes and so eager to quickly learn that you haven't had time to digest the basics and you're kind of rushing. And maybe that's what he's saying, take it one step at a time and understand and comprehend what is behind that advice before you then go into it. Because if you had only little knowledge, then you're not applying it properly. And then he says, for such people tend to end up in madness because you end up actually in confusion because you haven't grasped the whole concept. I think so. Sorry, Sairam.
Sairam, Auntie, maybe, Mani Auntie, maybe we can read the Telugu.
Which, besides the aspirant for Gnana?
Yes, Auntie. Bhakti and Shraddha, I think from there, if you can.
Yeah, Bhakti Shraddha. Yeah, Attivaniki Bhakti Shraddhato Patu Sarala Swabhavam Kuda Undavaleno. He has to be simple and pure. Attivaniki Atti Sthiti Kaliginavanikhe Gnanamu Siddhinchanu. Atlugaka Aturato means in haste. Athurata koladi Guruvanu Visikinchakudadu. You should not grow impatient, and irritate the teacher. Entakalameinanu Ashrayinchi Opikato Sadhinchavalane Kani Atruto Paniki Radu. Guru Cheppina Danini Javadataka Acharinchu Nityanubhavamnaku Tevalano. Vinnawatini, Dinnavatini, Dinamukatiga, Ruchuchukuntu. త్వరగా జ్ఞాని కావాలని దురాశపరుడై తనకు తోచినట్లుగా సాధనను మార్చుకొనుచుండిన అజ్ఞాని కాగలదు. So Swami is saying here, because of a greed to get knowledge, whatever we think and whatever we feel, you should not go on changing. Sadhananu marchukonuchu. Swami is saying here, changing the sadhana.
Yes. Thank you, Auntie. Because I thought we should read, because the English translation says you should not try every single item of advice you hear or learn. Swami has not used the word advice at all. Swami,
జ్ఞాని కావాలని దురాశపరుడై తనకు తోచినట్లుగా whatever he thinks in the way సాధనను మార్చుకొనుచుండును. So it cannot change. That is the exact.
Yeah. So there's nothing about advice here. Swami says whatever you hear, whatever you eat, that's very Swami. It means whatever you get on the street, that kind of feeling. And then we imagine this sadhana will be good, that sadhana will be good. And then we try to follow that. And that Swami says will not lead us anywhere. Because Swami says that we attempt only because we are impatient. So we hear from X, Y, or Z, and then we practice something, ignoring what the Guru has taught. This is what I understand. I hope, Sister Aruna, it's clearer now.
I think it's clear.
Thank you. Thank you. It's not the sentence continuation of that first sentence.
Which
whatever the Guru tells, should be practiced and experienced.
Yeah.
You should not try out every single item of advice that you hear or learn. Is it a continuation of that Guru saying thing?
No. You hear about these sadhanas from many people. They will advise you, do this, do that. That should not be carried out.
And Swami is also warning us that we should not think of something and start doing. See, one of the problem with the sadhana is people come up with ideas. What is the basis of ideas of sadhana also we don't know. If Swami says chant 21 times Om, then somebody will say let's chant 42 times. Okay. The instruction has been given by the Guru, we should follow it. Because we don't know what is the benefit of doing 42. We may think we may double it. Or somebody will say, I have tried this. I am benefiting. Then we will start practicing that also. And somebody will say, I went and got some technique from somebody. Then we will practice that also. So what Swami is saying is, the Shraddha means unwavering, total faith. And we should just stick to what the Guru has said. And if we do not do that, then Swami says we will end up in madness.
And moreover, Arun, this line, Tanaku tochinatluga. Excuse me, I think Mr. Dasi.
Yes.
Tanaku tochinatluga sadhananu marchukochundina agnani kagaladu. Tanaku tochinattu. You think of yourself as this sadhana is better, that sadhana is better. So you keep on doing such things, then it is going to cause a problem. You become Agnani. Thank you.
Sai Ram.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sai Ram, does Tankatochinatlu mean like in a disorganized manner? Whatever you desire, but it's not organized and it's not following a strategy?
Yeah, that's correct.
So,
yes, brother.
Hi, Ram, brother. I'm looking in a different corner. I don't know whether right or wrong. Suppose if you are learning spiritual from a guru, that you believe on him. So whatever you are teaching, you're learning, and don't try to practice everything. You have to have patience. So then only you can become a jnani. If you're trying to practice everything faster, and you will collapse or you will become ajnani. So you have to be steady and slow to follow the path. That's what I'm looking at that corner, brother. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother. Sai Ram.
I don't know. So whatever the Guru is saying, you should not follow all of them? Is that what?
No.
I am confused now.
No,
I thought we have to blindly follow whatever Guru says. Because that is what Baba is expecting from us.
Yeah, I agree to that, Auntie, but you should not try to practice and try to become a jnani faster. Then you will end up with the trouble. So you have to follow, but be patient.
Sairam,
Yes.
Swami usually says that when people want to get water and they drill a borewell, they should drill it in one place and go deep. And when they go deep in one place, they'll definitely hit water. But if they keep thinking that, oh, I should have water immediately, and start drilling a bunch of borewells, instead of one, they start putting 5 or 10 in different places. At the end of the day, we'll be left with only 5 or 10 different holes with no water. So the idea is not to keep trying different things and so many other things and getting nothing out of it. Rather than take one thing and have perseverance in that, both patience and perseverance. Like how Shirdi Baba used to say, Shraddha and Saburi. It's about that kind of a thing. You take one thing and be at it. And if we go deeper with that, we hit water. In this context, we are able to attain the fruition of what that sadhana is. So just an example that Swami himself has said in terms of how we should have, it's about not the quantity, but the quality of what we do. Swami would say 1 teaspoon of cow milk is better than barrels of donkey's milk. So it's just about that quality of sadhana rather than I have tried 10 different things and I will get wisdom or jnanam faster. Instead of that, take one thing, be at it, continue with all that patience and perseverance, then that itself will bear fruit. Sairam.
Sairam, Sai Satish. Anyone else would like to talk about any points which Swami has given us?
And one more thing what Swami is saying is, Guruvu cheppina danini javadataka acharinchu nityanubhavanaku tevalenu. You cannot cross whatever Guru has said. Javadate dinte crossing. That line is very important here. You have to bring it to the practice, everyday practice. Swami was saying, whatever Guru says. Saira.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you. So basically, Swami is, I think one of the challenges people have is in this, especially in the modern day world, there are so many people with so many techniques, so many sadhana things. And everyone practices this, little of this, little of that. And we get carried away. I think that's what Swami is warning us against. And because otherwise we will not make progress. I think that's Swami is impressing that on us. See, there's one sentence, Swami says, give up all else and win his grace. So, because give up all else and win his grace. Then jnana is yours. That's what it says.
Anna, when you said give up all else, I was thinking of this. Sorry, I missed the earlier part. I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to, but the Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja, right? That's what it's referring to.
I think it's a similar thought, but I think here Swami is talking about just sadhana. What type of sadhana we pursue. The instructions are from one guru. You have to have Shraddha for that guru. And I think same concept has been even told by Shirdi Sai Baba, Shraddha and Saburi. Because sometimes because of lack of patience, Saburi is lacking, we think, oh, somebody else maybe give us a quicker part, a shortcut. Maybe we will get ahead. But it can tend to create confusion. I think sometimes people can say, oh, then, see this, every teacher has said this. Like Jesus said, I am the way and you follow me. Because the reason they said is not because they wanted more followers. It's just to tell the disciple, just follow this. Take to one path. Only then you will get ahead. Otherwise, you will be jack of all and master of none. As it's told in the, I think that's what Swami is talking about here.
And moreover, importance of guru is being stressed by Swami. You have to have a guru, and a Shraddha and Saburi should be there. And only then you can, when you give up everything, you win his grace. That is the most important. Both the paragraphs are saying that this is, guru is very important. He plays an important role in our mind, in our spiritual lives. Sairam.
Sairam. I think often we think we know a little better than the guru because, because there are other gurus we can learn from. Then there are people who are saying, no, they are also saying the same thing this guru is telling. So I will listen to that guru also. The mind is capable of tricking us, all sorts of arguments. And then we lose the opportunity of progressing.
We can consider as all the gurus are teaching different path, but for the same destination. So if you are following a different guru, follow that guru. Okay. Even for the Shiradi and Sathya Sai also, the way they taught us is kind of different for the age and the current, right? So if we are following Swami's teaching, if you follow strictly on Swami's teaching, that gives you happiness. If you try to even to little bit of deviation to Shiradi, then try to confuse a bit because that age, that time of people's mentality, the teaching was given to them accordingly. So whoever gurus you are following, that's the guru. It's have enough to learn from them. I think the lifetime is not enough to learn one guru's thing. Then, so that's the way also we can think. Thank you, Sairam.
Very good, sister. Thank you very much.
So, Sairam, brother, I like the second paragraph. If I'm thinking my guru is Swami, then you should have no other thought than his welfare and happiness. That means I can recall the Isaramba Day. So, whatever we had it in our center. So, we have to be dear to the Swami, not near to the Swami. So, when you want to dear to the Swami, then you have to do all our action, whatever he likes. That's what they are mentioning about the welfare and the happiness. No other thoughts than his welfare and happiness. That means we can closer to him. So even our family life, husband and wife, we all near, but not most of the family life not dear. So how we can be dear? Same thing. If we have dear to each other, there won't be no problem. So same way, if we are dear to the Swami, then we're going to follow whatever he's teaching. So he's my main guru. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother, Sairam. I think one of the challenge, I think, we have to become near as well as dear. I think that's what you were meant to say. I think one of the challenges people have is, because when a guru says something like this, we think, is our guru better or their guru is better? Also that type of thing also mind tends to. If somebody asks, why are you following your guru? We want to impress on them that our guru is better than yours. Then that doesn't help at all. And we should have total faith in our guru, and we know he is teaching us everything. But we don't need to compare, because then that's a completely wasted exercise. We should just stick to our guru, have total faith, and pursue. But the human nature is such that we want to compare. Is what I have better than what others have? And then there's no end to what the confusion we end up in. Shall we move on to the next slide? Because I think Swami is talking about Guru and how we should behave and learn from the Guru in the next few paragraphs. So.
Sorry, Uncle, can I just ask a question on the previous slide?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think there's a sentence there that says jnana can be won only jnana can be won only from and through elders who have experienced the absolute. But I mean, because this whole paragraph, it seems to be speaking of a physical guru or a guru that you have physical access to. I mean, and in our case, Swami is our guru and we don't necessarily have physical access. So, I mean, I was just confused by that. Like, jnana can be won only from and through elders who have experienced the absolute.
Okay, I will ask Auntie, can you see the exact Telugu?
Which paragraph it is?
So it's the last sentence in the paragraph which starts with Swadhyaya Yajna.
Yeah, last slide.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Sai Ram.
Yes,
Sai Ram,
yes.
Even Shirdi Baba and Sai Baba, both of them are repeatedly saying that one who has realized God within himself is the person who can be a guru for anyone. Someone who has experienced everything and who is ready to share with his disciple.
Thank you, Auntie. But I think, I think Kalyani is trying to understand that sentence a little better. Is Swami saying that a physical guru is needed? I think that's a question. So now that Swami is not physically accessible, what do we do is, I think, a question. So that's why I asked Mani Auntie to just, because sometimes the translation things can get a bit cloudy.
Let me read.
Yes, Auntie.
Ika Swadhyayamana Moksha Shastramulanu Bhakti Shraddalato Vinaya Bhaya Vishwasamulato Patinsuta Viti Valana Rushi Runamu Tirunu Dini Valana Punyamu Labinchutiya Gaka Papamu Eshinchuno Taruvata Gnana Yajnamu. Then he comes to Gnana Yajna. So he wants the
Yes, Auntie. I read a few sentences in that. Which paragraph? Which page, Auntie? This is
73 last.
Okay.
Correct. Idi aparoksha gnanamu kaadu sadhana rupamaina paroksha gnanamu. Vitiki sambandhina shastramulanu shraddhato vini patinchi yukti prayuktalato mananamu salpavalenu. Idi siddha rupamu kaadu. Itti danine gnana yandru gnana yajnamandru. I think Swami was basically he is saying is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. I think he is talking about that.
Yes.
Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. These 3 steps are to be followed to get the Gnana. Then he comes Peddala Valananu, Atma Vicharana Selipi, Atma Tattvamanu, Yaruga Valanu. ఆశనే జ్ఞానం, ఎరుగవలనను ఆశనే జ్ఞానమని అందరు, జ్ఞాన యజ్ఞమని పిలుతురు, విహితమైన కర్తవ్య కర్మలను. That is, I think.
So this is what she's asking.
She's asking, yeah.
And there's also a line later in the next paragraph, on the left-hand side, the very last line here.
Yes, yes.
జ్ఞాన యజ్ఞమని పిలుతురు, విహితమైన కర్తవ్య కర్మలను ఓర్చవలను అర్జున, ఇటు పవిత్ర జ్ఞానము అందరికీ లభ్యముగునా. That is not there. Then he goes to the means whereby this can be acquired. That's he says. But Kalyani's question.
No, again, one more time he's telling Auntie, bundles of books, studying bundles of.
Yeah, bundles of books you don't read. తత్వవేత్తులకు మహనీయుల చెంత చేరి, చెంత చేరి వారి చిత్తములను ప్రసన్న చేసి సమయ సందర్భములు చూచుకొని వారి మనస్సును ఎరింగి మెలుగొని. It is here the physical guru, I think he is talking about.
Yes, so and after that Swami is in doubts. Nana can be.
సంశయములేనైనా స్ఫురించునప్పుడల్లా ఇష్టం వచ్చినట్లు ప్రశ్నించక, తరుణము సమయము చక్కగా ఉన్న వేళ వాటిని శాంత మనస్కుడై మహనీయునికి తెలిపి దానిని నివారణ చేసుకొను. కానీ ఊరికే బండిడు పుస్తకములు చదివినంత మాత్రమున, ఉపన్యాసములు గంటలు కొట్టినట్లు కంగుమనిపించిన గాని, చులుక పలుకులు పలికిన గాని, లేక దొంగ వేషముతో కాషాయం ధరించి ఊర్ధ్వ దృష్టితో బుర్ర లాగించిన గాని అది జ్ఞాన లక్షణము కాదు. Anyway, so Kalyani's question, I think it is.
Yeah, next sentence.
అది చూడపడినమ్మా, ఏది వాటి జ్ఞానము చేయకూడదు, దీనిని అనుభవజ్ఞలైన మహనీయుల ద్వారానే అనుభవింప చేసుకోలేను.
So this is the sentence. So I think Kalyani's question is, so now what do we do? We have Swami, yes, Swami's teachings are there, but Swami is saying people who have experience should be there. You can only learn from them. Okay?
From them. Yeah.
So I think Kalyani's question is a physical guru needed? I think that's the question you're asking. Kalyani.
Yeah, physical question. Is he needed?
So what Swami is saying is, Guru is there. He has taught. Okay, in our case, Swami was physically present. He was teaching. There were people who may have gone and who have benefited. I think your question is, when Swami is physically not present, what do we do? How do we follow this path? I think that's the question you're asking. And is it necessary? The way I understand Kalyani is, Swami has taught. But the thing is, what Swami is saying, you need to find people who seem to be practicing and who have benefited. Through their company, you can clarify your doubts. The reality in this world is we do not live alone. We're always surrounded by people and human beings. And everyone has their own views. Everyone is following their own path. So the problem is, if everyone is following their own path, we may not be able to practice and learn what our teacher is teaching. So that is why Swami has set up, ways he says, even study circle itself is that. Because if all of us are reading and if all of us are trying to practice, then we can share. Each person may have experienced something. You pull in, and then that becomes, which is what every tradition in the world has done. You have a tradition, and there are people who are very serious. They're studying what the teacher is telling and trying to practice and trying to experience the benefit. So the reality is, human beings will be always there in our lives. But the thing is, we need to choose the company who are seriously practicing and who also seem to be benefiting. And of course, then we can learn off each other. Ultimately, that's what it is. Because the human beings who are following, that is very, very important. Because many things we cannot do alone, even in our human life. Sometimes to lift something, we need another person to lift it. Lift a huge piece of furniture. And both of us should have the same interest, the same way of carrying it, same, ideas. So in life, sadhana path is important. And you need people who are seriously practicing, and then find out what they are doing with this. And you may get some idea, then you practice and you get your own experience, and then that's fine. But that is very, very important, because this idea is told by multiple places. The words which I told last time, in I think 34th sloka, where he says, Pariprashnena Sevaya, you have to find the jnanis. Then in the Upanishads it says, Uttishta Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. That is, you find people who are Varan and Nibodhata, learn from them. So the thing is, there are always somebody, even in a school also, in a school setting, if somebody has studied, and if you want somebody who is in the next class or who has studied it previously, you go and ask them, I'm studying this, I have this doubt, what do you think of this? It is just that, they seem to have studied and they have gone on to the next grade or something like that. So Swami is basically saying, be intent where you go, find what you find out. That will help you clear some of the doubts.
Now thinking of this, the three vows of Buddhism, right? I think Buddhists understand that to be, when you say Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, I take refuge in the Buddha, that is the Guru, when he or she is there before you physically. Then I take refuge in the Sangha, that's the fellowship of the like-minded that you were mentioning. And when you are in a position or a place in life when you neither have access to the physical form of the Guru, nor do you have access to a Sangha, that is when Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, right? I take refuge in the body of teachings. In fact, they call it the Dharmakaya. That itself is like the physical body of the Guru. Even in Sikhism, Guru Granth Sahib, right? The book, what is it? Srimad Bhagavata Kyoyam Pratyaksha Krishna Evahi. The book itself is God or the Guru. That sense. So that's, I'm not saying that those are three mutually exclusive categories, but it's that sense reflected.
Yeah.
This line, exactly what question Kalyani was asking, it gives the answer. Deenini anubhavagnulaina mahaniyula dwarane anubhavimpa chesukolna. Anubhavagnavaina mahaniyulu. Those who are learned, those who have really spiritual experience, you can learn from them.
Swami is not using the word Guru. He's just saying Mahaniya.
Yeah, Mahaniyulu. Mahaniyulu means great people.
It doesn't necessarily mean somebody who is like completely realized or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, realized person.
Now realize that experience, if whatever you are trying to,
Right.
I think once a person is fully realized, then that person may be a guru. But the thing is, as long as you can learn something from a person who has practiced what you have doubt in, and if you think that person has benefited, then you can benefit from that.
Right.
Okay, so I think.
I know.
And just pointed to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kalyani, come on.
Yes, Saramana. So I was just going to add to that part. Like Swami would always say, practical knowledge is more important than bookish knowledge.
Yeah.
And we also know that Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam. So when we have that Shraddha, and Swami says the way of asking also, in this paragraph, like what Auntie read, he says it's not simply asking just like that. Yeah, you finding the right time, the proper way of asking that, and then that practical aspect is revealed based on their practice, which we can in turn, based on our mindset, adapt to our life and experience possibly the same kind of a thing. So like Anna was saying, it doesn't have to be the guru, but somebody who has made that effort, who's making that effort and has, to give that kind of, I don't know if you can call it spiritual tips, but something of that nature that one can take it into their life and practice it to get to that level. And what Sister Janani also was saying in terms of it's like Guru and Guru Vani is the same. So even if the physical frame of the Guru is not with us today, like all the Vahinis, all the discourses, all of that are there to guide us. And with that, this kind of satsanga and everything coming in, which will help to achieve that practical knowledge. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sai Satish. Yes, Brother Dasan, you have.
Yes, Sairam, brother. This second paragraph, in my point of view, is if you, most of the people are looking at Google, and so many gurus are there, but they can even read the book and they can memorize, they can attract you. So you have to be careful. So who can give the wisdom and jnana? Only the person who experienced the absolute. Absolute means the experience of the Atma. So who is, we have everyone know, everyone's belief Swami. So everyone's supposed to, in our study circle, supposed to be, our Swami is our Guru. So we don't need to be doubt. Even if you look at the Irga Kalaiva, even under here, because the Guru, the Dronacharya, he doesn't want to teach. He put the statue of Dronacharya and he learned everything. So we can, even though physical body is not there, Swami is around us, within us, around us, below us. So think about he is our Guru, then we can do our sadhana. We can get the wisdom and the jnana. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much.
Sairam, I don't know.
Yes, Auntie.
This is Saku Auntie. I agree with Dasan and Satish. We are in the ideal situation now. Bhagavan, when he was physically present, he wrote 16 Vahinis. We are using those Vahinis as our Bible. And the students of Baba who have learned everything in person with Swami, living with him for many years, and they are sharing that experience and also the knowledge that they have gained with us through the study circle. This is the ideal situation which Baba is referring in the book. So we don't have to go anywhere because this is the most precious and most treacherous gift that Baba has given us. We thank Baba and all the individuals who are giving and guiding us and giving insight to all his teaching. Thank you, Saira.
Saira, Auntie, thank you. I think I'd just like to correct, I don't know whether anyone here has learned everything which you said, so. But we will continue.
Anyway, you're trying and experiencing it.
Okay, we will continue. I think it's such a good, actually, we all know, how we learn from each other, everyone, because sometimes we may think that we understand, and when the questions come on, we realize, oh, we have not thought about it. So it has been a enriching experience.
Yeah.
So that's all I can say. We will continue. Yes, Kalyani, you have a question.
Yeah, one more thing. So the couple of sentences that Swami saying here, no amount of shastric study can solve doubt. And over here is, how can doubts be ended by the study of books? Are we excluding the Vahinis?
See, I think what Swami is, that's maybe I will ask Mani Auntie to read. But I think what Swami is saying is, just reading the text will not help. You need to witness practice also. So, for example, it's like cooking a dish. If we have never eaten a dish and we have not seen anyone cook the dish, if we think we can read a menu or if we can read a recipe and cook, it may not turn out to be the dish, the real dish. So the thing is, everything is needed in this world. So if people who have read Shastras, and if they have not practiced, and if they have not seen anyone practice, they may have doubts which cannot be solved. You can read it again and again, because what Swami is saying is that by itself may not grant you. Okay, I think that's what Swami is telling. But I think Swami has also told about bhakti and shraddha.
Yeah.
I think Brother Dasan was telling we should have the bhakti. The bhakti is that the Lord is with us and He will solve the problem, and have faith in that. And I think when that is there, the doubts will slowly, at some point, will get dissolved. I think that's my understanding.
Yeah.
But I will ask others to share their thoughts as well. Sairam Auntie, you have something to. Did you refine the Telugu?
What I mean is experiential knowledge is the only way how one can realize the self. So we have to approach such people who have this knowledge, who have experienced it. From them we can learn and how to go about. So they can guide us. Sairam.
Another area is. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry, brother. So, Sairam, I like to add to your point and Auntie's point too. So, you can even learn Vedas, Shastras, and everything, but that is not going to give you jnana. But what brother said or Auntie said, you have to practice that one. You have to experience that one. Even if you study whole Veda, it's nothing going to help. It's a textbook. But when you practice, when you experience, then you'll get the jnana. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Another example is, if somebody wants to learn music, you can read, the notes from a book, but unless you have heard somebody who has learned it and sung, you may not be able to reproduce everything which is music, because music is just not the notes, just not the beats. There's much more to the music. And so an accomplished musician who has experienced the joy of a particular raga or tune will be able to demonstrate something much more than which is in the books. I thought I will just mention that also as another thing.
And then just the last query is this part where it says, so they have to be sought after and served reverentially. So I was just under the impression that Swami would send people to you if you need, or rather than, because you don't even know who to seek really.
Yeah, again, I will say pariprashna, Swami is talking about the two, Upanishad statement, which I meant prapya varan, means you have to seek, you have to obtain. So the thing is, in life, there is some effort required from us to obtain. So the thing is, I think that's what Swami is sought after, means even in the previous one, the Telugu Swami is saying you have to go to Guru, you have to wait patiently, you need to find the right time, you need to know how to ask the question. All this can be considered seeking. So the thing is, even with Swami, if you just go and say, okay, he's going to teach and sit there, he's not going to. Even us reading this is actually seeking. Because if we say, oh, I have read, there's no need, then we are not seeking. So that this itself is seeking. Okay, you are trying to read and understand, and there's some effort. I think that's what Swami is referring to, from what I understand. I will ask others to share anything which they would like to share. And serve reverentially also, pariprashnena sevaya, he says, not only you can just go and asking questions, the Guru is not going to give you the answer. You have to serve the Guru also. So that also Swami has added there. Because Swami says sometimes nowadays people, they say, Swami in one discourse I was just listening 2 days ago, Swami says even to buy a handkerchief, you have to go and pay some money and then only the shopkeeper will wait. But people nowadays, they come to me and say, oh, Swami, give me liberation. So he says, what have you paid? What is the effort you have given? So I think that all that matters.
So, Sairam, brother, can I ask a question on behalf of everyone? We have Vedas, textbooks and everything. So why do we need Guru if we know how to read the Vedas, if we can understand? Then why do we need a Guru then? Thank you, Sairam. Just assume your PhD or highly educated people, they can learn everything, they can read everything. then why do they need guru?
I think the answer is in the next few paragraphs, brother. So I will just.
Okay, brother. Thank you. Sorry.
I think Swami is talking about various gurus, what they do, and things like that. So.
As the cow takes her half near when it sees it, so the guru will draw the Sishya, discipline, to his presence and give him the milk of grace. The Sishya ought to be of sterling character. Then, just as a clean piece of iron will be attracted by the magnet, he will receive the immediate attention of the teacher. The qualification of the guru can be inquired into by the Sishya. In fact, he ought to, for he needs a teacher. Arjuna, I shall describe the characteristics which a teacher should possess. He must have not merely book knowledge, but the wisdom derived through direct experience. He must be established in the reality, that is, in Brahmanista, steady contemplation of Brahma. Mere Sastra Jnana is incompetent to grant mukti, self-realization. It can at best help in gaining bhukti, a living. Why there are some who by sheer anubhava, jnana, knowledge gained through your own experience, have won mukti without a grain of Sastra Jnana. But such persons cannot have disciples who are pestered by doubt. They cannot understand their difficulties and sympathize with them.
Okay, thank you very much, sister. I think just a couple of points I thought I would just point out. I think Kalyani was saying that the guru will come. His cow takes the calf near, as it says. The guru will reach out and bring us near. But then Swami is also saying that we have to make some effort. The Sishya ought to be of sterling character, and then the guru will give the grant. Even he brings us closer. And I think the Brahmanishta, I think it's a steady contemplation of Brahma. I would say it should be established in Brahman is a better translation, is my view. I will ask Mani Aunty to correct if it's not so. I will stop.
Yes, one who is established in the reality, one who is always contemplating on that Brahman absolute, he is called Brahmanishta. Sorry.
And I think Swami has even answered Brother Thasan, why should we study? Why should we need a guru in the study? The books are there. I think that what Swami has addressed to some extent. So I will stop here and I will ask others to share any thoughts.
Sairam,
yes,
Swami is saying here they are all Bodha Guruvulu. Only the Bodha Guru. The Guru who teaches you things about Bodha Guru. Bada Guruvulu, Inka Aneka Perlugala Guruvulu, Lokamana Veluveluku Galaru. Vinu, Guruvu Kundavalsina Lakshanavalu Kuda Virintunu. Mukyamaga, Gnana Lakshanavato Pato, Anubhava Gnanamu Kudanu, Kaligundanu. He needs that wisdom. What he has acquired from the book knowledge, the wisdom is also there for him. It is very necessary for him to be a guru.
And
so one more sentence is a good one. The merely the book knowledge gives you the knowledge only, but for the wisdom you have to experience it.
Yeah.
So the experience you have to go. You have to learn from the guru. Just the book, reading the book will not help you at all. So in order to have the wisdom jnana, I think you have to experience it. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Yes, Sai Satish, please go ahead.
Sai Ramana. So I was just going to use the example of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Vivekananda. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, from the secular knowledge point of view, he was literally like an illiterate.
Yeah.
But in terms of the Atmic experience that he demonstrated by following each of the religious paths, he followed right from whether it is Hinduism or Christianity or the Islam, he followed each of the faiths and experienced the absolute using that path. So which is complete, you can see how what is true experiential knowledge or wisdom in that understanding. And that is why when he just touched at that time, Narendra, who became Vivekananda later, he could experience the absolute. And it is only, like Swami is saying, only such a person who can understand the difficulties that a disciple is going through, because when they have walked that path, they know what that path is. And so they are able to, in one sense, like, of course, the Guru is over and beyond everything, but empathize with what the disciple is going through and help them better understand and traverse that journey, even as they, because when we go through that path, there are points where we may be having our as much as a high, a low, and at those times it is only a guru who has walked that path can literally guide a disciple. So just taking the example of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Vivekananda will tell how without having bookish knowledge, still Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had the practical knowledge, and so he attained the absolute. While Vivekananda had bookish knowledge and had to like literally get experience or get conferred that practical knowledge and then go forward, kind of a situation. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, Sai Satish.
Can we give the example of Shabari also?
Yes, Auntie. Yes.
Who was completely illiterate but attained mukti. Her bhakti, her devotion to Lord Brahma was so much, without any, she had not attended any school or read any book, but she attained mukti. Such people are also we can.
Yes, Auntie.
Saira.
Yeah, but Swami is just one small example is saying that people who do not have Shastra Jnana, they may not be able to help others much because they may not understand because a person who follows the path through Shastra Jnana needs a person who also has gone through that Shastra Jnana and attained. So I think that's the last two sentences Swami says. There may be people, but if a person has a Shastra Jnana doubt, that person may not be able to help much. Is something which Swami has said in the last two sentences. But the person can give the experiential, which is what I think Sai Satish was giving. Because sometimes we get stuck in Shastras and have doubts, and sometimes that will not even allow us to have the experience. But of course, the person with the experience will be able to give the experience. But they may not be able to save disciples pestered by doubt. That's what. So it's very nicely put by Swami. So I thought I would just point out.
It's the way we can look at it. Vedas or Shastras, you are learning to understand, get the jnana, right? So if we are not using with the knowledge to experience it, whatever you have studied also not going to take you anywhere, just knowledge only. If you don't experience with that, then there's no point. So whoever knows, say that I know all the Shastras, that's okay. Have you practiced and experienced it? Is the question comes. Thank you, Sai.
Sairam, sister. I think this fair, what Sister Vasudha said sometime back. She said half knowledge is always dangerous, which is what she said.
Auntie was mentioning something about Bodha Guru. I don't see that. Is that line here?
It's not mentioned here, I think. Swami is explaining about different types of gurus. Arun, can I read that?
Yes, Andy, please go ahead.
నేను శిష్యుని యోగ్యతలు మాత్రమే తెలుసుకున్నానని ఫలించితివా? కాదు కాదు. ఇక్కడ గురువు యొక్క యోగ్యతను కూడా శిష్యుడు పరీక్షించవలసి ఉన్నది. So even the Shishya has to, he needs a teacher and he has to.
I think, Auntie, that is the next paragraph in English, if I am not mistaken.
No, I'm reading from.
This only? Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Same paragraph. ఇక్కడ గురువు యొక్క యోగ్యతను కూడా శిష్యుడు పరీక్షించవలసి ఉన్నది. లేకున్నా బోధ గురువులు, బాధ గురువులు. He calls him బోధ గురు, బాధ గురు, the one who troubles. ఇంకా అనేక పేర్లు గల గురువులు లోకమున వెలుకు. Bodha Guru is only the who has bookish knowledge and he will tell you whatever he has read. And Badha Guru is the one who troubles you. Who troubles you. So that's what is. There are types of gurus, he says. Migilna varito panledu. We don't have to do anything with them.
So Bodha Guru is a guru with just bookish knowledge?
Bodha Guru is the one who bodhana, that he advises you. That's all.
Yeah, he will just teach the text.
Oh, okay.
If you want. I think if I don't know whether anyone has something to say or we can move on. Or yes, Sister Vijaya.
Hi Ram, thank you, Brother Aruna. Thank you everyone for the enlightening questions. My personal experience is that, with Swami, please correct me if I'm wrong, that when you have doubts on the path, it is going to come up. That's the only road that you can get to, besides having an enlightened teacher right there. You have to ask. I have to ask Swami for the answer. And there are a couple of points here that all of you raised, that had been bugging me for the last week or 2 weeks. And Swami will create the situation or the learning experience, and you'll know it's his work that, suddenly you get an insight into, oh, that is the truth. I didn't know that before. That experience of realizing a truth, the insightful experience, not so much the intellectual understanding, but the insightful understanding. My sense is that's the path that we all need to be on. Ask Swami. We don't understand this. I don't understand this. What can you tell me? Saira, thank you. Thank you.
I think Sairam, you basically nicely explain what is the what is the seeking of a learner from a guru. And of course, he's around us, as you said. He always will grant us the insight. Actually, sometimes we have ourselves seen. We will read something and we'll have questions and doubts, and then we go a little further. Swami's words will just clarify that. We have experienced it so many times.
But as you pointed out correctly, and I think it was Brother Tasan also, the tendency of the human mind when you're very immature is seek another guru that is around, and they will answer for you, correct? So I'm saying before you, and I was one of them. I used to oh, wow, maybe the answer is there or here or there. I didn't wait for Swami to answer it. And you have to sit with the doubts for sometimes it's few days. And then he will come and tell you. But if you go at him and fall at his feet and say, Swami, this is not answerable. Rather than going to another guru, like what Brother Sai Satish said, Swami said, dig one well and dig it deep. Rather than jumping the gun and saying, I'm going to find it somewhere else. See whether you can sit there, just because it's very uncomfortable to sit with a doubt. But if you face the direction of doing Swami's sadhana and saying, Swami, only you can answer this. When he gives you the answer, after you wait a while, it's like, wow, the doubt is cleared. It's like from inside, the vision inside, it's cleared. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. That's very nicely explained. Very, very. Saira.
And just one thing,
yes.
Swami has told, in fact, the guru is waiting more than the disciple waiting to ask the right questions and things. He was always saying, like, the guru is searching for true disciples. So I think it is more from like how literally Swami is waiting for that sincere prayer and thing to come to, like, literally answer it based on how sincere and how pure is that prayer in terms of search for going to Swami. So a couple of times Swami has mentioned this, like literally the guru is searching for such true disciples, or God is looking for such earnest disciples. So so from our point, though we have asked that question, like Sister Vijaya was mentioning, how intensely are we asking that question and how continuously we are reaching out to Bhagawan. I think with that same frequency or with that same speed, we will have the reply as well come. Like how Ramakrishna Paramahamsa puts Vivekananda below the water and tells him, are you pining for, or when he came out gasping for breath, did you pine for God with the same intensity that you were pining to take a breath of air when you are submerged? That kind of intensity, if we have, I think we will have the answers coming. Sairam.
Sairam. I think Brother Thasan asked a question, and I think Swami has answered. Mere Shastra Jnana is incompetent to grant mukti. He was saying, when the Vedas are there, why do we need Guru? But I think we have also said the Veda can itself become a Guru also.
I think Kabir, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Kabir says, Guru Govind dono kade hain. So, why lagu kisi ka? Whom can I go? So it is Guru. First you go to Guru. The Guru is the one who shows Govinda, who guides us towards Govinda. So the importance of Guru is said there. Sairam.
Sairam, Auntie. Thank you.
So, Sairam, brother. I'll come back to that one. Why do we need Guru is my point of view. So if you are in a thick forest, if you want to reach one place, we need the guide. Without the guide, you cannot walk inside the thick forest. You end up with dying or something. You are not reached to the point. Same thing. In the world we think, we have so much anger, so much ego and everything. So Guru taught us how to give up those kind of things and surrender to his feet, because our final goal is self-realization. And who can take us to the final self-realization? Only Sadguru. So we have to follow his teaching, whatever he taught us. Then he will definitely take us to the self-realization. That is the only reason we need Sadguru and no other gurus. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you.
And Sairam, I wanted to add one point to Sister Kalyani's earlier question, that like the physical form part not being with us. So if you remember that story of that Krishna Tulabharam, where Satyabhama tries to win over Krishna for herself with all of the gold. She keeps placing gold on one side and Krishna seated on the other. She's never able to equal it. But finally, Rukmini Devi comes there and she just puts one leaf of tulsi there. and with the name Krishna. And because Swami says the Rupa and Nama are equal, and the Tulsi weight, the weight of Tulsi leaf is slightly added to that Nama thing, it tilts in the side of the Tulsi leaf, and that's how Krishna is again got back rather than being given away with that gold kind thing. So in that context, though we do not have the Rupa today, physical form, we have the Nama with us always. And by taking that Nama or the name of the Lord repeatedly, even as we do all of this sadhana, it will have the same efficacy of the Rupa, because Swami has said it, and all the saints and sages have said, with the Rupa and Nama being the same in stature. So though we miss the physical form of Bhagawan or proximity of Bhagawan, we have his name with us. And that name we can keep taking in and day out, even as we do all the other forms of sadhana and satsang, which will get us to that jnana or wisdom or atmic reality, whatever we call that name, by that effort. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Very valid, a nice point for all of us to remember. Thank you.
Sairam brother, just got reminded of Professor Bhagya sir when Sai Satish brother mentioned that Nama and Rupa. So there is a professor in our MBA department in Prashanti Nilayam called Professor Bhagya sir, who's a very vibrant devotee of Bhagawan. Like you can see it outside. As you look at him, you can see the relationship that he maintains with Swami, or Swami's reciprocation of his love for him. So there was one instance where Professor Bhagya sir felt that he needs mukti at any cost. So this was in the initial years when he joined as professor at Prashanti Nilayam. And when Swami called him for interview, it seems he asked Swami, I do not want to teach these students. They're asking me silly questions about this subject. And there are so many politics in institution. So I don't want all this, nonsense. This is how he speaks to Swami. That's how he mentions. And give me mukti. That is what I came here for, not to teach your students. And Swami immediately became angry and shouted at him saying, Manda Buddhi, even if you take thousands of janmas, I will not give you mukti if you're not teaching my boys. I gave you this duty only and only so that I can give you mukti. So this is the path you have to follow. If you're not doing this, even after 1,000 janmas, I'm not going to give you mukti. So in this particular interaction, Swami also mentioned that while doing all this, keep my name in your mind. So automatically you'll reach me. That is the confirmation that Swami has given. So in these two aspects that I thought are very important in this discussion are, one is Swami is the only authority who can give you mukti, right? So he was straight away telling that I will not give you mukti, even if you take up thousands of janmas with this particular sadhana. So he is the only authority whom we can look up to for mukti. So he is our guru. That is point number one. Point number two is, while doing whatever sadhana Swami has given us, to each of us, it could be different ones. So some of the people Swami has asked to go out of the institution after some time, or if immediately after studies, you have to go out and serve the society, or whatever Swami has told them, they have been following with Swami's name in the mind, like how Brother Sai Satish brother has mentioned. Have that Nama always running in your mind and heart. And I think at some point we'll definitely experience that mukti. Sairam.
Sairam, thank you, Saitaram. Sairam, Sister Vijaya, please go ahead.
Sairam, that was very beautiful, very beautifully put. I am reminded of the Vahini satsang that Radio Sai is currently doing, the 9 modes of devotion, and they did the dasyam. And in the dasyam, that's serving the Lord. I mean, we are here, what are we doing? We're only serving God, Swami. And the example is given of Hanuman, that, all that he has done, he wanted to serve the Lord, right? But at the end of the Rama avatar, when Rama is decided he's going to end the avatarhood, and he's walking into the Sarayu river, and he issued a proclamation that, anybody in Ayodhya, anybody can come and walk and, with him, it's a one-time, in a lifetime opportunity. Of course, Hanuman wanted to be the head of the, to be with the crowd and be with Rama. But Lord Rama turned to Hanuman and said, Hanuman, I want you to stay here. So sometimes it's, what do you call it? Even your greatest desire it's given at Swami's feet. And I've always been so touched by that story of Hanuman. It's a Chara Jivan, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it. It's the example that that Lord Hanuman, gave, where his highest desire was to serve and be with Rama. Even that has to be surrendered to Lord Rama's, request of him. It's for us, we have to look into our hearts and see what Swami wants to use us, and how we have to do it. And there is no going to other gurus or finding it in the books, but only examine in our hearts. Swami will come and tell you what to do. Saira, thank you.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. I think if everyone has, it's about 4:20.
Saira, brother, if I want to put into a nutshell, so surrender everything to the Guru's feet and hold on to the Guru's feet, and you'll get the self-realization. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, thank you. I think what we will do is, maybe we will go to the next slide, read, and we will not discuss. I will just read, and then we can go away, contemplate, and come back next week, if that's okay. Yes, sisters, please go ahead.
There are lakhs, 100,000 and lakhs of persons who are gurus in name only. All those in Gerua, Okra, are now gurus. Even those who smoke ganja, drug like, we know that, ganja, and are gurus. All those who indulge in discourses are gurus. All who write books are gurus. Wandering over the country and learning to argue, no one can claim the name. He should possess the power through direct experience to uplift the disciple and put him on the track of sadhana prescribed by sastras. Of what use is argumentative skill? Whatever is said and done by him must have the sanction of the sastras. Spouting of things imbibed from books in long speeches which move the listeners from one wave of excitement to another does not make a guru. They may be heroes in lecturing, but they are zeros in sadhana and in the mastery of the spiritual field. They can be schoolmasters, but they cannot confer bhakti or point out the way of liberation. These gurus attain only the stage, and the sishyas who resort to them get just that. They have as much value as the books which contain all the matter that they pour forth. Many unwary sadhakas are attracted by the magic of words and the verbal gymnastics of such showy gurus. They may be called pandits. They may give lectures, but just because of this, they do not become entitled to grant the boon of jnana. That can be done only by avatars, the Lord come in human form. Devamsa Sambuddhas, divine beings, and that way with master of Tattvavids, master of wisdom. who have realized the absolute, and the jnanis who have attained this summum bonum of spiritual sadhana and tasted the supreme bliss. It is no use claiming a fraction of this or that experience. The experience must be of the full and itself full. Those who know only a fraction will take you up to a certain point and leave you there, in the middle region, the
Trishanku,
who was hung between heaven and earth, like such.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, sister. So I think we have read quite a bit. We can contemplate. And we can come back next week to discuss, because once we launch into this, I don't think a few minutes are enough. We will close the session. If there is nothing anyone has to say, I will close the session with prayers. Saira.
Saira.
Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam.
Sairam.
Sairam, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Father's Day.
Correct.
Sairam.